All right, we're back. This section is all about creating our intro-outro file. So we've spent a lot of time planning and thinking and making sure we're going to be successful podcasters. But now it's time to have some fun. We're going to plug in our microphone. We're going to record some audio. We're going to create an intro-outro file that we can literally drag into our podcast editing session every time to just make it super easy to edit our podcast, automate the process. Maybe even we can hand it off to somebody else at some point and say, here's my intro, outro, put it in and make it happen. So what we're seeing here on the screen is a program called Audacity. This is a DAW, digital audio workstation. We've talked about this before. This is the program I'm going to spend most of my time showing you how to use. It's free. If you're using another digital audio workstation, I just want to let you know that that's totally cool. All the principles I'm going to discuss with you apply. They will just be different buttons and settings. So you may need to either ask a question in the Facebook group or do some Googling to figure out how to accomplish the same task in a different DAW. So what I have here is I just literally clicked New and open up a new session, right? So this gives me just a blank session in Audacity. And as part of this intro outro, we're going to have a music bed, meaning there's going to be some music behind our voice. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to upload one of those, or import it rather, into the session. You did get 5 free royalty-free tracks. Feel free to use those in your podcast. Just wanted to give you some bonus material for investing in this course. Very grateful for that. But I'm going to go ahead and just click File, Import, Audio, and then I have this 5 royalty-free songs mixed folder, and I'm going to go with Inspired to Thrive, and I'm going to turn it down just a little bit and play you what that sounds like here. All right, so it's got a cool vibe to it. It's like kind of got an inspirational flow. This is my favorite out of the 5. Feel free to use any of the tracks as you wish. So before we really get started, we need to make sure that our microphone and our headphones are connected to Audacity. So no matter which microphone you're using or which setup, you're going to need to do this process. So next to the microphone here, we've got a list. So my microphone is plugged into a universal audio interface that's connected to my computer via Thunderbolt. So I'm just selecting this. If you had the Shure microphone or the Audio-Technica microphone or whatever microphone should be listed here, you'll want to select it. That's going to make sure that my audio is getting into Audacity. Now, the speaker here lets me know where is the audio going to come out of. So if you had the Shure or the Audio-Technica mic, it comes out of the mic, so you would actually just select the mic. So you want to make sure those are set. Now, how do we know that our microphone is actually working, right? I can go over to this section and click to start monitoring. And now I see, as I'm talking, I'm getting a real-time meter. And then if I played this audio here, I'm getting speaker audio. So I can see that everything's hooked up properly. So that's something we're going to want to make sure we do before we try recording any type of audio at this time. And I'm just going to go ahead and mute this track for now because we're not going to be using it. So we've talked about microphone best practices. I just want to kind of reiterate this because this is a big one. A fist distance from the microphone at a maximum. So I'm pretty close to the mic. I like to be close to the mic. You don't want to be really far away from the mic. It's no good for ambient noise. But the other thing I want to talk to you about is don't clip the signal. And what does that mean? So you see this I'm getting to about like between 18 and 6 dB, negative dB on this scale at the most. I'm in the green, maybe at the yellow at the max when I really get heated up. And that's a good place to be. If I turn up the gain on my microphone, you can see I'm in the red. It's maxed out. It's completely at the tip top of the scale here. It's going to end up distorting, and there's going to be nothing I can do about it. So if you're in the red, and you have a volume or a gain knob, you'll want to turn it down like this and get back to a regular level in the green. If you don't have a volume knob, you may need to pull off of the mic a little bit, okay? But we want to be conscious of, there's a rule with audio. I can always make it louder, but I can't undo the brick wall distortion maxed out audio, okay? We can always make it louder. So, even if you were at half of this meter, I would be plenty happy with that. It's when you start to get into this red that it's just, there's nothing you can do, and it's not going to sound great. And if it doesn't sound great, people are going to go listen to something else. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I need to create a track for my voice. So I'm going to go to Tracks and Add New and Mono Track. Now you may be thinking, why didn't you create a stereo track? And the reason is that a stereo track, my voice is not stereo. My voice is a mono source. And a stereo source would be something that had two microphones or multiple microphones, and it just takes up more space. We want a mono track. The track is created, and I can do a couple things on the side. I can mute it. I can solo it. Let me mute this. I can turn the volume up and down. I can make it go left or right in the pan and the headphones. I'm just going to keep everything to the center. And I'm actually going to name it by clicking on this and just pressing name and say Travis Intro. And okay, and this is going to be my track. So now that I'm in this track, I can just kind of click towards the beginning of the tune here. And if I just, didn't mean to play that. If I press record, it's going to start to pick up my voice, and I can actually see the waveform happening right in front of me. And it's a pretty good size, so it's not too small, and it's not filling out the space, so I feel like I have a good, consistent signal coming in. So now that I've tested it, I'm just going to go ahead and do my voiceover reading. So I've planned it out. I know exactly what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it maybe 2 or 3 different times, record it without stopping, okay? So if you'll be patient with me, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize a podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. Okay. So that one was okay. I felt okay about it. I'm going to do it a couple more times. Not really warmed up. You're listening to the Shortcut to Pod. See, I already messed up, so I'm just going to stop. And something you can do if you mess up while you're podcasting, I'm a big fan of the clap. So if I messed up, I could go. And now you'll see I've got this big spike section on my audio that I can see visually. And I know, like, okay, something happened here that I want to take note of. So that's a little pro tip for you. I'm going to give us another go. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. All right, that was pretty good. Had some good energy. I'm going to do it one more time, and then we'll put this all together. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize a podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just press the space bar, and it's going to stop the recording. So this is all the audio I did. I can go ahead and just click anywhere and... something you can do if you mess up while you're podcasting, I'm a big fan of the clap. So if I messed up, I could go. All right, so I really feel like in my heart, the second one was the best, and that happened after the clap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go find my clap, and I'm going to select to the beginning, and I'm going to delete all this audio because I'm just not going to use it. and I'm just going to press delete, and that's going to go away. So now I think it started here, but let's see what this is. And now you'll see I've got this big spike. Okay, maybe it's right here. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcast. Okay, so I can get rid of all this by just selecting it and pressing delete. And now I'm going to play from here and just take a listen. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. All right, I think that's the one for me. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all the audio after that by selecting it. And I've just got this tool selected, so if you don't have that selection tool, that's what I'm using, and I press delete, and then it's gone. So now I can actually put this arrow, I guess this is time shift, but I can move around my audio to wherever I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just mute this for now, and I'm going to unmute my music track, and I want to figure out kind of where I want the audio to start. So bear with me. I'm just going to take a listen. Okay, I pretty much feel like the audio should start almost right away, or my voiceover should start right away, and then I'm going to end up fading this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lower the volume on the actual music because I want my voice to be at the forefront, and I'm going to just see how this level sounds. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. All right, perfect. So I ended right before the swoosh out, which I love. I think the music could be louder, so I'm going to kick it up a couple dB and go ahead and listen again. You're listening to Shortcut to... Okay, even more. I think my voice is pretty loud. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. Okay, it's close. I think it's just a dB or two too loud. So what I want the music to do is create excitement, but I don't want it to take away from what I'm saying. So I'm going to listen to this one more time here. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. Okay, I think I'm just going to go down one more dB to 15 dB. A dB is a decibel, if you're wondering. And I'm just going to take one more listen during the middle to podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing maybe even one more. I just feel like I don't want it to be too loud, but I don't want it to be too quiet. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast... All right, I love it. That's perfect. Okay, so I love everything about this. Somehow I nailed the shortness between this next section happening, which is a swoosh, like a shoo, into the next phase of music. And so now I've got all this extra music, right? I'm going to end up fading this out so that when my content actually comes in or my actual show, I can say, hey, good morning, guys, it's Travis. And while I'm talking in that introduction, the music is slowly fading out, and it seems... Well, it's going to be automated for us editing-wise, and it's going to just seem a little more exciting and cohesive instead of the music just stopping or going on too long, okay? Now, if for some reason your intro is much longer than this, I'd say you would probably want to start pruning out some of the voiceover. You really want to keep it to a couple sentences under a minute. So try to use the music as a framework to stay within. Now, if you filled out this entire thing, most of these tracks have some type of fade out anyway that you can hit. So experiment with it. You may record something and be able to chop it up to fit in here. But for mine, I'm keeping it really short and sweet. And now what I want to do is I want to create a fade. So I am going to go ahead and just get my select tool here. And I'm going to select after it swooshes to just about the end and click Effect. Now there's a huge list of really fun stuff that you can do. I'm just looking for a fade out, and it's going to automatically fade the section I selected out. Now, I need to get rid of this part because we don't want that to pop up at the end, so I'm just going to select it and press delete, and that's gone. So now if we listen to that ending, let's go. All right, so it's fading perfectly, evenly, but it's still taking too long. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that again to the same section by selecting it and going to this part right here, going to Effect, and then in that menu, Fade Out, and fade it again, because I think it just took too long to fade. So in my opinion, this is going to happen. There'd be a little bit of music, and then I would start talking, and then I want the music to get out of the way. Let's go. What's up, guys? Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to stay inspired to thrive. We've got a great guest on today who made $1 billion off of Product X. Excited to have him on the show, and it's going to be a great one. So why don't we go ahead and dive in? Let's get started. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of what would happen there. I still think it's just a little long. So I'm going to try it one more time. Just going to fade it one more time. Effect. Fade out. Okay, and I'm going to listen again. Oh. All right, I love it. It's perfect. Okay. All right, so now that we have that done, we're going to export this file, right? Because we want to be able to just drag it into our next session. So I'm just going to go ahead and select everything in our session, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to click Export. And we're going to export this as a MP3, and it's going to open up this dialog here. So I'm just going to call this STP intro, and it's going to end up going to my desktop. And the quality, we can, pick different qualities. For this instance, I'm just going to go standard. It doesn't really matter. The bigger that you do it, let's go insane. The higher quality, the kilobits per second, is going to be the more data that's included. This is a very basic file, so we're not going to really have that much loss. And we're going to keep it in a joint stereo file. I can tell you that if you are going to export in MP3, you might have to download a free piece of software. It will give you a dialog box that says, I just need this piece of software in order to export the MP3. And I'm going to click Save. It's going to tell me, hey, your track's going to be mixed down and exported to one stereo file, which is exactly what we want. I'm going to just say, don't show me this warning again, because that's what I want. And I'm going to press OK. Now I get the option to put in metadata. So I can say shortcut to podcasting. Should probably spell it right. And I can do anything I want here, 2019. This is going to be for if somebody gets a hold of this file and imports it into their computer, they'd be able to see what it is. Now, we're going to do more meta tags and metadata tags later, but this is where you'd be able to do it if you wanted to, and click OK, and there we go. So if I mute these files and I import the audio, it's going to pull in the audio here, and let's go ahead and listen. You're listening to Shortcut to Podcasting. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and I'm dedicated to sharing the exact framework on how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. If you're looking to launch a podcast fast and easily, you're in the right place. Let's go. So now every time we record a podcast, and let's just mute this, and let's just say for this instance, I'm just going to make a new track. I'm going to, oh, that was a new session. My bad. We want to go to tracks and add new mono track. And if I just go ahead to the beginning and press record, and I say, hey guys, oh, which track are we on? We're on the wrong track. We have to select this track. There we go. So welcome to the show today. This show is about intro voiceovers. Had a great time with my audience, my valued community that is here with Shortcut to Podcasting. Really excited about today's podcast. We're going to go really deep into the intro voiceover controversy rabbit hole. This is just an example. So let's just say that this was my entire piece of content. That now, once I get into the editing process, and I've got my intro here that is unmuted, and I select what I don't want and clip it out, and then I'm able to time travel it over here. I can just put my main content with the outro. Let's go. So welcome to the show today. This show is about intro voiceovers. Had a great time with my audience, my valued community that is here with Shortcut to Podcasting. Really excited about today's podcast. We're going to go really deep into... so now we have a super easy way to just get that intro in every single time without having to deal with it over and over and over again. So that's awesome. So we've got an intro. I'm stoked out of my mind right now. Let's go ahead and let's figure out the outro. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these tracks. I recommend that you save whatever you do. Maybe you save an intro session and an outro session. I'm going to import audio again from our royalty-free music tracks. And I'm going to go ahead and get that Inspired to Thrive track in here. And then I'm going to create a new track, a mono track. And I'm going to mute this, and I'm going to name this outro. And I'm going to go ahead to the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and do my outro voiceover recording here, and then I'm going to put this together. And we're going to do this one a little faster, and I'm not going to explain as much. So here we go. All right, we got some audio here? Yes, we do. Perfect. Okay. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show or found value in this episode, the number one thing you can do is subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Can't wait to see you on the next episode. All right, that sucked. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show or found value in this episode, the number one thing you can do is subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Okay, I feel like that was of good quality. I'm going to go ahead and clip off that space bar that I just pressed in the audio, and I know that that's where it starts, so go here. And I'm also going to get rid of all this extra audio real quickly. And I'm going to mute this because I want to figure out how I want my outro to come in. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of a reverse of what I did the last time. I'm just going to go ahead and select up to this swoosh and go to effect. And on that menu, I'm going to do fade in. Okay. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and do it twice. I feel like I know what's going to happen here. And then I'm going to unmute this, and I'm going to take my time stamp tool or my time traveler tool and pull it to the point after that little swoosh that we know about. And I'm going to take this down to 16 dB because that's where the last one was. I want total equality. And so what I'm imagining is that I'm ending the show here. And I'm saying something like, "Hey guys, it's been a great show. I'm super stoked that you were here with me, and I love podcasting. I love talking about podcasting. So thank you for being with me. I am so grateful to have you as a part of my community." Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show or found value in this episode, the number one thing you can do is subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. Now that I'm listening to that voiceover back, it's a little rushed, so I'm just going to go ahead and scrap it and re-record it. I'm going to go a little slower. I forgot that the music was a little slower, so let's mute this and press record. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show or found value in this episode, the number one thing you can do to help me is subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Okay, so this time I may, sound a little less caffeinated because I did just have a nice fresh cup of coffee before I started this video because I want to bring you guys the thunder and the energy that I have for podcasting, but it came off too much. So I actually also think I'm going to lower the volume on this just another dB. So let's go ahead and check it out. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show or found value in this episode, the number one thing you can do to help me is subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Super cool. Much better than the last one. Okay, so I love it. So I think that it fades in nicely, and once it hits that swoosh, it indicates something new is happening. I talk to you, and then we've got this nice music break. And because the ending of this already has an ending and a fade, I'm going to let that music play out for that, whatever that is, 30 seconds, maybe 15 seconds here, just as a ride out into the sunset, the credits roll on the podcast kind of situation. So I really like that a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and grab it all with my selector tool. Let's try that again. I'm going to press File and Export. And export as an MP3. And I'm going to call it STP Outro to my desktop. I'm not going to put anything here because I don't need it for this, and it's done. So here's the cool part. I can go ahead and just save this project as STP outro session, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it on my desktop for fun. And if I need to make any adjustments to that later, I can just open up the session, and if I need to move this around or if I wanted to re-record my voiceover, I can do that. But now I want to show you the power. I'm going to close this. I'm going to show you the power of what we just did for our workflow. So I've made a brand new empty session. I'm going to press Import Audio. I'm going to go ahead and grab the intro, outro. Okay, so now I have them here. And if I just simply drag this away, I can just keep dragging it. Now, if I wanted to record some audio, and I'll just make a new track quickly here, I just want to show you how we've really optimized this for ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and click here. And I'm just going to start talking. This is a great way to automate your podcast workflow as far as having a stock intro and outro that you can bring in and make your own. I have a lot of fun making these. I have a lot of fun making the music. I have a lot of fun doing the voiceover and doing my fun radio voice. So thanks for listening. It's been fun. I hope you have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. All right, so that's just an example of some audio. So now if I unmute these, I've got my intro here, which I can see from the name. I can just scoot this over. And it's not really all that long. It's not that long of a podcast, but then I could scoot this back over here. And, you could see that once the... And I'm just going to start talking. This is a great way to automate your podcast workflow as far as having a stock intro and outro that you can bring in and make your own. I have a lot of fun making these. I have a lot of fun making the music. I have a lot of fun doing the voiceover and doing my fun radio voice. So thanks for listening. It's been fun. I hope you have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. So if the content was longer, obviously you'd know that this outro here, and I should probably cut that little space bar off. But this is how easy it is to pull in, to create our main content and then just pull it into our intro outro. So this was a fun module to make. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. If you have any questions or you need help, please just go to the Facebook group, email me directly. I'm happy to help. I'd actually just love to hear what you come up with. Or what song you picked from our free music. So that was this section. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.